All right. Can anyone confirm if I am audible? Sahil?
Yes,
Yes,
you are.
Rohit, you are.
Yep. Thank you. So, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining with us today. We are going to start with the first session of Flutter Festival, and I'm sure you all are excited to start with Flutter and know about it, everything. And without wasting any more time, I would like to call up my friend Sahil. Sahil? Yep.
Thank you, Rohit. So, hello, everyone. Hope I'm audible and visible to all of you. So, I welcome you all to this Flutter Festival's first session. This will be a session in series of multiple sessions. Will be going on in this month. We'll be doing multiple sessions on Flutter, and we'll be covering most of the part of Flutter via the sessions. So, today's first session will be just introduction to Flutter. So, before we proceed, you may ask, who am I? So, let me first of all, I'm a student like you. I'm working as a SDN intern at BMC Pune. I was also worked at SDN Research Intern at 10th USA. I have a working experience of Flutter for more than 2 years, so I found myself fortunate enough to be working in this technology for 2 years. And I also have a industry level experience of the language which powers Flutter, which is known as Dart. So Dart is a very powerful, impactful language which we'll be learning here, and it's an asynchronous language. What I mean by this is we'll be covering in the session today. So first of all, let me explain you what is Flutter Festival, because it's a very new term which you have heard. All of you, I hope all of you have heard to this term Flutter Festival on your social media account. But what is exactly it is? So Flutter Festival is the first time a festival, or what we can say a series of events planned by Google, and we are facilitators for that. So this will be a series of events in which new beginners or moderate peoples or industry peoples can learn Flutter from basic, so that they can kickstart or boost start their career, or they can have a boost in their career. So this will be a series of events in which you will be learning Flutter, Dart, how to code in Flutter, how to make beautiful web apps, and all kind of stuff in whatever you have heard about Flutter, because it's very hot technology. So Google have thought to make it as a Flutter festival. So, as I told you, build beautiful application with Google technologies. So, Flutter Festival is actually a community lead event, a series where developers can join to learn fundamentals of Google technologies. What we'll feature here in this series of sessions is Flutter, what is Firebase, how to connect Google Cloud with the Flutter apps, and different things. But the major important or the major importance will be given to Flutter technologies only. So, what we can assure you is that after completing the series of sessions or series of events which are scheduled in this month, you'll all be familiar with how to make a Flutter app, or you can kickstart your career. There are many internship opportunities also in future. We'll be discussing everything in today's session. So today's session is introduction to Flutter. So first of all, before going to introduction to Flutter, we should know in which language Flutter is written. So Flutter is basically a framework. So, but what is the language we need to learn? Because to program anything, we should what we can say, we should know a language in which we can code. So the language was Dart. So it's a programming language. It was developed in 2011, but the main motive to develop this language was to use it in a client side development. What we mean by client side development is on your mobiles, on your PCs, whatever UI you see, it was built for that. So and the main motive for building that, it is developed by Google, and the main motive they had in mind while developing that was that it should be cross platform application language. Means you should have a single code base to build it on your phone, on your PC, on your laptop, or anywhere you can build with just using the simple language, what we call as Dart. This is such a powerful language that it is a cross-platform language, and you can build anything with that. The client-side part. So, second comes is the history of Flutter. So, once you are familiar with Dart, I hope everyone has understood what is Dart. So, Dart is a language which is powering Flutter framework, or the language which you need to learn to get mastery in Flutter. So, Flutter is a framework which we'll be using, but the language which we'll be using in this framework is Dart. If these terms are getting over with, you are getting overwhelmed by listening to this term or reading this term, do not worry about this. Just understand Dart is a language, Flutter is a framework. So, if you want to learn Flutter, you have to learn Dart. So then comes the history of Flutter. So the first version was Flutter was actually not known as Flutter. It was known as SKY. We pronounce it as Sky, but it is just short form of SKY. So this was the first version of Flutter, which was known as Sky. This was just Sky was named Sky name was given to that because the Flutter developers or the Google developers at that time were thinking that we were going to take this language to the sky. this will be an alternative to React Native, and very much debates were there. So they named it as Sky. So it was unveiled in the Dart Developer Summit in 2015. We know that Dart was developed before Flutter. So Dart was already there in the market. It was having some industry use and some developers use. So at the Dart Developer Summit in 2015, Google introduced us with the Flutter framework, and everyone got crazy that how can we build just every single app with a single code base. So on March 3, 2021, Google released the Flutter 2 during an online Flutter engagement. So this was the major release, or we can say the best production release which we have of Flutter. So it is known as Flutter 2.0 or Flutter 2. So Flutter 2 is the Flutter what we call as today. So Flutter is Flutter 2 now. So on September 8, 2021, as of now, the latest version of Dart is 2.14 and Flutter is 2.5. So Flutter has already moved from 2 to 2.5. It is halfway through to make the transition to Flutter 3. There will be many new features in Flutter 3 are expected here. But as of now, we are having Flutter 2.5 and Dart version is 2.14. So this was just a basic history about what is Flutter, how about Dart, when it was released and why it was released and what was the motive. And the key takeaway here is that from all the slides which we have done till now, that Dart is a language which is powering Flutter, and Flutter is a framework which was introduced by Google to make beautiful applications. And the latest version of Dart is 2.14 and Flutter is 2.5. So this will help when you will be installing that. We'll be seeing how installing works, how we can start or bootstrap our application, or we can just start a simple Flutter application, but not now. The main important is in today's session is to get to know familiar about Flutter and Dart. What are they? So what is Flutter and why Flutter? So you all have heard all the rumors and all the stuff on social media and everywhere that Flutter is a very hot technology. Google is hiring developers. Everyone is, your friends might be getting internships, or some of the things are going in Flutter. But why Flutter is getting very hot tech? So first of all, for understanding why, we need to have what we can say understanding of what is Flutter. So when we say what is Flutter, so Flutter is a Google's portable UI toolkit for building beautiful multi-platform applications. So this was a very dictionary language which I understood, which I just read from the PPT. But let me explain you what is Flutter. So as if we break this down, a Google's portable UI toolkit. So the main important point is here, it's an UI toolkit from which we can make UI. So for example, when we go back 3 years back or 2 years back, or maybe 5 years back, so if we want to build an UI, a beautiful UI, we have to hire a developer, and he or she should have skills of HTML, CSS, Bootstrap, or any front-end technology, you may say. But when this Flutter was introduced, if you are a developer, you should only know Flutter to build a full-stack application. It is 100% possible to build a full-stack application with the use of Flutter. So this is a UI toolkit which is so powerful, and it has so many functionalities that you can build a complete UI using just Flutter and Dart. No need to learn anything, HTML, CSS, nothing at all. And it's portable. What do you mean by portable? We are going to learn in the next slides. And it can build multiple beautiful apps because it has lots and lots of features. If you, I would say, if even a industry level expert is there, he or she might even not know what are all the widgets in the Flutter, or what are all the features. So many features that the language is having in them. So, and Google is already developing it day by day. So the main point for here was what I was going to make here is that Google's UI kit this is. So next come is what we can say with support for. So what is Flutter? We have known it is UI. It is a UI kit. So but what does it support? So if you want to make an app, for example, let us see the problem and this is the solution. Think of it that there was a problem and Flutter is the solution to that. So for example, if I'm a company and I wanted to build an app for me, so I wanted to hire an iOS developer. You can see I wanted to hire an Android developer, and I also want a website. Or keep this aside: Windows, Mac OS, Linux, and embedded system. Keep them aside. Only 3 of things. So if I wanted to build my company, I should have an app on iOS and App Store and Play Store and web. So for this, I need to hire different developers. All need to have different stacks. All we need to manage everything. But when Flutter came into picture, if we just write a single code base, the Flutter app can run on iOS also, Android also, web also. So don't you find this cool and a problem solver to this industry? That with a single code base, via writing a single code or a single project, we can show that code on iOS also, we can use that code on Android also, and we can use that code on web also. Yes, I know that there are some differences in all the language, but there are very, very minute differences. And in a single code base, so first of all, let me explain what is code base. Code base is an project. For example, think of it as a VS Code project, which or a GitHub repository. So in a single GitHub repository or a VS Code project, in very layman terms, we can build iOS app, Android app, and web app, all looking same or different as we want. So this is the power of Flutter, that with support for, so it supports everything, iOS, Android, and web. So just we have talked about this, but even if you want to make a same app for Windows from the same code base, we can do that. Even if we want the same app for Mac OS from the same code base, we can do that. The major what we can say, the pump in the Flutter community came when they told that yes, you can develop a single app code base for Linux and embedded system also, because there was no such thing to develop an app or interface in Linux, because Linux, as a developer friendly framework. So even now you can develop anything for Linux systems also and embedded system also. So for now, as of now, what I learned is that for embedded system, there is only C programming language or embedded C you are using. But when Flutter came, it solved almost every single problem of every single thing. I know that the problem is not solved to complete, because already development is going on. But the point, once again, the point which I was going to make here is, with support of Flutter, with a single code base, you can make an application which will run on all this thing. So if you are thinking of future to be a developer or a full stack developer, you do not need to learn Swift for iOS. You do not need to learn Java for Android. You do not need to learn JavaScript for web, or different languages for different things. I'm not saying that they are bad. They are superb, and means they have done their benchmarks in the industry. But Flutter can do all things for you. So if you are thinking to bootstrap your career, or you start your career in development, so Flutter can be a thing for you. So it's just a meme. I saw that on web. So iOS developer, web developer, Linux developer, Mac OS developer, anything, and the answer is Flutter. Just you need to learn Flutter, and everything will be there in your pocket. You can develop any of the application and host it on anywhere. So I hope so. Flutter foundations pillar. So what is for any technology, or what we can say framework, there are some technological pillars or a foundational pillars. I'm saying that it's in technology pillars more than foundation pillars, because when Flutter was built, it was only at its core, it was only 5 principles. It was fast, it was productive, it was beautiful, it was open source, which is very important, and it's portable. So one by one, we are going to go over all the things. So let us start with fast. So take the speed limiter of your app. So means you can just think of the Flutter, that you can build a faster application in Flutter. It has so many libraries and so many what we can say UI kits and community development kits, that you can just use them and make very fast applications. Flutter also gives some optimization ideas when you start building the app. Do not just one advice I want to give all of you, that whoever is new to this space or this development phase, just think about it that these are the benefits of Flutter. Just think about it as this is a theory lecture for Flutter, and we are going to cover the technical details of Flutter, everything in this month, in this Flutter festival. But just think about this, that we are going this is the click, this is the bait for you, that yes, Flutter can do this, so we need to do Flutter. So Flutter is very fast, and you can build fast applications with Flutter. If you might be thinking that how we can build with a single code base all this thing, that is we are going to learn. But with a single code base only, we can develop very fast application that can be used in the production level apps also. So second is productive. So this is a very important part for developers. This was a what we can say the hurting part for every developer, because when I was an Android developer in 2 years back, and I was developing an app, so if even I did a small color change, I have to rerun the compiler, I have to rerun the code, I have to make a new build, and then I can test it on myself. But this productivity hack on Flutter just gave me a boost, that yes, I can do any change within a second. There is a feature in Flutter called as hot reload or hot restart. With a click in milliseconds, the same thing which you have coded will be showed on the screen. You can see here that when he or she, who might be the guy, is changing the text in a second, when he or she is tapping the hot reload or hot restart, the button is changing. So this is the biggest productivity hack. No other, I don't think any other. I might be wrong, but I do not think that any other framework or something is providing this kind of functionalities, that hot reload and hot restart are there. So you can just click on the hot restart and hot reload, and whatever changes you have made in your code base, this will be directly reflected on the screen. Do not need to run and deploy once again and everything going to that cumbersome cycle once again. So this was the very hurting point which Flutter cracked, and they have just simplified it, just hot return, hot that's the thing. And once I'm telling you, once you get to this idea, this is very addictive, because once you get to the idea of Flutter and hot start, then going back to an on-site development and making the build and running this, you'll be like, ah man, this was not I was going to do. I needed Flutter and I want to go to Flutter. So productivity will increase because your time will be saved here. So the third pillar, it's beautiful. So you might be thinking that it is developed for all the things. So if the, what we can say, if the quantity of things is increased, the quality might be decreased. But look at this app and think about it. This is developed by Flutter with a single code base and by using some external libraries. So this was developed by a developer. It is in debug mode. We are not having any copyright. We're just showing it to you that this is the capability that we can make beautiful application with Flutter. This is not the case that if we have just what we can say, we have dropped HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, so we cannot make animations, or we cannot we cannot have our UI designer to make any design he or she want. We can give them, or we can tell them to make any designs they want, and we can just copy or make that design in a Flutter. Just a point to add here, it's not mentioned here. Flutter is also working on UI to code direct basis. If you guys might know what is Adobe. So Adobe XD is a software which we generally use to make the UI. So for example, if I'm a company, so I will tell my UI designer to design an Adobe XD slide, which will be just a visual what we can say, visuals for my app, how it's going to look. So Flutter is already working with Microsoft Adobe XD to just directly convert that UI, what we are looking at, into the code. So directly it will be usable. So basic versions of it is available also. There are many interesting things if you go into if you deep dive in this space. So like this, very interesting things are there. So no compromises are made for your designers. So your designer can design anything and we can make it with Flutter. So the fourth one is open. So everything is free and open source. I assume that all of you guys know open source, but if someone is not doing open source, let me clarify. Open source is a thing which everyone can use, everyone can develop. So if you are a developer, you can develop Flutter also. You can have your own version of Flutter. You can have, for example, if you are, if in case after 1 year, if you are very familiar with Flutter and you think that no, this thing should not be there, and we can use that thing some other way. So you can just clone the application or clone the Flutter's repo and make your changes and use it with you. So this, what open is, first of all, open source means this is free and you can use it for any production level application. You can also tweak it your way as you want in your application. So you can just make changes and you make your own build. And so companies are using making benefits of this, because some companies do not want the complete Flutter application or Flutter package to make this thing work. So they are just taking the repo and moderating this and updating it, and they are using it their way. So this is an open source. So this is a very big benefit. You won't understand this now, because when you will go into the actual production level application development, you will understand that yes, sometimes this is a pain to the developer and manager, that they might think that this feature should have been there in this language, but this is not there, but they cannot do anything because that is not open source. But in Flutter, if you think that this feature should be there, you can go and implement that and you can use that. Yeah, this is that will be an active process, but you can do that. There's a possibility open to you. So all the pillars are over. So why Flutter now? So pillars are over, Flutter is fast, Flutter is open source, and everything is there, but why Flutter? So first of all, it is maintained by Google. This is very important point, and I'll repeat it once again. It is maintained by Google. So all the services, Google Pay can be included in what we can say, can be used in a Flutter app. Google Analytics can be used, Google Ads can be used, Google One can be used. Majorly, Firebase has a very extensive documentation for Flutter. Google is also planning to make Flutter and Firebase one by making, there is a thing which is called as what we can say Flutter Fire, which is mean by Flutter and Firebase. They are trying to merge this thing because they are saying that Firebase was only built for Flutter. So I have used the word Firebase, but let me explain you what is Firebase. So Firebase is a backend, or what we can say, it is everything what a backend developer requires. So if you want to have a Google login, Facebook login, email login, anything, you just name the backend functionality and Firebase has it. So Flutter is having a huge support for Firebase, and it is very easy to use Firebase in your application. So it is maintained by Google. So every Google maintained product will be useful here. ML Kit, talk it with Google ML Kit, scikit-learn libraries. If you are in ML or machine learning, anything you can use in Flutter. So Flutter will be a UI kit. The backend will be helped by you to Google. So the growth rate. The second point is the growth rate. So this is a chart. I don't think this is very important to discuss here to compare Flutter with anyone else. So I would just pressurize my point on that. Just look at Flutter. Do not look at anyone else because they are already very developed, what we can say, languages, and they have come to a saturation point, to be honest. But look at this Flutter chart. It is growing at a rapid rate. There is exponential increase will be there after 2018. If you see 2018 8 month, it is just the chart of 2018. If we come to 2020 and 21, which is yet to be released by Google, they are not releasing, I don't know why, but the chart is exponentially growing and everyone has shown very much interest in Flutter. I would like to come up with a point that if you have used Google Pay, it is developed in Flutter. Google Play application, if you are using for payment, that is developed in Flutter. And there are many companies which have adopted Flutter as their major language because they want to reduce their workload by having different or less, what we can say, employees in their company. So this is the growth rate of Flutter till 2018. If we just have a 2020 and 21 chart, this is very much means growing at a very high speed. In 2018 only, it crossed I would say Angular, Xamarin, and React Native, and it has just now exponentially grown. Means the amount of Flutter developers here in India and all over the world have grown exponentially, and so as the opportunities have also grown. So talking about any of the language, why we need to select a language or a framework, we should have a community support because because for example, take a language X or a framework Y. If you have started learning it and if you are stuck at some point, so the first way what you are going to do is go on Google and search, yeah, I am stuck on this point in this language. And if you don't get anything, then you are disturbed that yes, if there's no one to help me, how can I do that? But for Flutter, it's a very good and supreme communities there on Medium, pub.dev, Stack Overflow. These are the terms I'll explain one by one. So Medium, I hope you all know that Medium is an article publishing platform in which there are hundreds and thousands, I guess millions of articles of Flutter now, because every dev, if he or she is what you can say, developing an app or making something or making some, or even he or she is solving something, so they are just publishing on Medium. And if a problem has been solved or a new technology has come or how to use the Flutter in different way or multiple things are there, you will find on Medium. Pub.dev is a lifesaver for you, I would say. So I would come to the best thing at last. But first I would Stack Overflow. Everyone of you know that what we can say in Stack Overflow, that if you have any problem and you go on Google and put that question on Google, that the first thing comes on this Stack Overflow and the problem solution will be there. So there is an extensive support for Google on Stack Overflow. You can go on Stack Overflow and search about any single problem on Flutter's build, Flutter's web, Flutter's iOS, or how to do anything on Flutter, you'll get the answer. Because I even started as a developer, I have faced a lot of problem. So I went to Google and just searched about this, and on Stack Overflow, everything for this. So this is for problem solving. Medium is for reading new things and new technologies in Flutter, or what are the changes, or how to increase your coding efficiency, and many different things are there if you just go in detail. So now come to the best part. Okay, so pub.dev. So this is a lifesaver because Flutter and Google both, they say that they do not build on what we can say, repeating the code you have written. So if you have written a code, or if someone else has already done the code, so why to overwrite? Or just, for example, if I have made a module which can select an image from a gallery, so you should not just write the same module for yourself. What I'll do is I'll post that module on pub.dev. You will just go on pub.dev, you will extract it and you will put it in your own Flutter application and you will use it. If I have written 2000 lines of code, you just need to write 2 lines of code because the work has already been done for you. I have done the hard work, and I have put it in on pub.dev. Every single what we can say libraries on pub.dev. Take it about Google Maps, talk it about image picker from gallery. You just name it and it's there. HTTP package, every single package is there. Even for Web3, the blockchain technology which is coming here and which is very hot, Web3 packages are also there in pub.dev. So you might think that how powerful is the community here. this pub.dev, this is sounding a bit new to you if you are not here, but when you'll start learning Flutter, everything will be on pub.dev. When you'll be coding, in the site tab, pub.dev will be open. You might not agree with me now, but when you will go to code on Flutter, you will be using multiple libraries. And this was the concept which is, I would say, life-saver for all of us, because we are not going to write, if you want to just make an HTTP request and get some data for the backend, we are not going to write actual HTTP logic, sorry. So we can just use that package and go on pub.dev, and we can take that package, insert in it in our application, and just use it. We'll be just like http.get. We just have to write this, and we are done. And the most important point on pub.dev is that you are not, for example, if you just make a Flutter app, basic one, so there is nothing like all the dependencies will be in Flutter. The dependency which you want from pub.dev, for example, I only want HTTP, so I will only put HTTP in it. So it is very lightweight. I would say very lightweight. So only HTTP will be in there. Nothing else will be there. So this will also make your application lightweight. So the community is very fastly growing. And this is the thing, Medium, pub.dev, and Stack Overflow. So these three are the things that are growing very rapidly. So talking about the main part, that the motivation, the real motivation, because at end, we are just not here for learning. We are here to learn and to earn at the end. And how can we earn? And this thing that we have to get any jobs, or we have to get placed somewhere, or what is the situation of industry here? So if you go on, first we'll talk about this is LinkedIn wala poster, and this is the Google's what we have searched on Google. If you just go and just search Flutter developer, you will get multiple of jobs. But what the point I'm going to make here is that if you go on LinkedIn and search for jobs related to HTML, I agree. But if you go on LinkedIn and search for jobs for Flutter, you will see the top 4 jobs are posted 7 hours ago, 14 hours ago, 7 hours ago. So means every hour there is every hour I'm saying this is a new. In India only 2,230 results or 2,230 open candidates are there. So the opportunity or the need that developer is in industry has just been started. I would say just been started. The companies have just been have stepped in their boots in Flutter. They have just got to know the power of Flutter. So if you just grab and be a good developer, you are going to be valued in future. This is the thing which is very important to know. Even if you go on Google and search, just Google is a very thing which we search everything. If you not even the full-time opportunities, even internships are humongous. Internship. I only started as an intern at 10 Fins when I was 1.5 years back. I also there are multiple opportunities in US also, in India also, and in all over the world there are multiple opportunities. So when I started working in Tenfins, this was not an Indian opportunity, this was an outside opportunities. So, and full-time opportunities or full-time offers are also there. Might be they will be paying something a bit less. For now, it might be the case, but in future this is going to be. And so this is about internships and job opportunities, but I want to let you know about a survey also which was done in 2019 by. So they every year they do a survey on which language is growing very fast, or which language is growing its jobs very fast. So it was shown that Flutter's job has increased. Flutter developers' job has increased by 72% from last year. So I mean, almost it was going to get doubled. It was in 2019, 2020. I am damn sure that it's 100%. So every year the jobs are doubling. The need of Flutter. Because the new startups. So think about a new startup. If I am a startup, I do not want so many developers, and the startup wave in India has already been started, as you all know. So what I'll do is just I'll search for a developer who can do everything for me. So what do you mean by everything for me? You can just hire a Flutter developer. He or she will be doing everything for you. So there are huge amount of internship opportunities and job opportunities in Flutter here. So now you all might be thinking that yes, this is very conceptual thing and theoretical thing. I was just singing songs for Flutter. It is very good, and this is very means what we can say, very tremendous thing to learn, and there will be lots of job opportunities. But just a piece of code I wanted to show you to just make you familiar with how actual coding in Flutter looks like and how that is going to look. But when I'm going to the next slide, do not overwhelm by looking by seeing the code, because this is the first time you are looking at the code, and this is the boilerplate code which is already present in the Flutter application. Okay? So think of this, that this is how you are going to code in the world. So if you want, this is a mobile, so just look at the right side, do not look at the left side. So okay, on the mobile screen, so this is the app. For example, think about it, this is an app. So this was headed as, or heading was given as welcome to Flutter, a beautiful simple looking app with a hello world message is being shown here. So this is the code to make the app. You might wonder that how in such a, what we can say, 15 lines of code an app has been built. A pure app has been built, nothing is required or nothing additional we have done here. So first we have imported. So I'm not going into the details of what we have done, what we have imported, what is void, what is run app, what is my app, nothing. What is stateless? Do not look at that. Just look at this build method. What do you understand by build? If anyone can reply in the chat box, what do you guys understand by build? When you hear this word build, BUILD, what do you understand? Anyone? Okay. So this might be a new thing for you, but when I say build something, it is building something. In layman terms, if I am writing build, so it is building something somewhere. So this function, what we say is a function, this is building something on my app. Just think about like that. Do not look at the about things, what is stateless widget, what is import and everything. Just this is build method. This will be everything is boilerplate. You will understand it when you will be in 7 days. I'm telling you, Flutter is very easy to learn. I have also learned it that way only. So in this build method, this is a material app and the title is given welcome to Flutter. App bar is there. What do you mean by app bar? This is the app bar. Okay, so we have written welcome to Flutter. So welcome to Flutter is there. In the body, in center, we have a text child called as hello world. I'll repeat once again. In the build method, we have built a material app. Material app is an app. For example, we are building an app in English. In plain English, we'll be going. We have to build a material app. In that material app, we should have an app bar. In that app bar, we should have a text, welcome to Flutter. In the scaffold or in the app, we should have a centered text, or the body should be center child, which should be a text object of hello world. You can just, by looking at the code, you can understand that this is in plain English. This is in plain English. We can also read the Flutter code base. So this was just a simple overview about the code. You should not worry about that. You just think about that. For example, if you wanted to make this thing by HTML, what thing, HTML, CSS, what things you might have to do. Maybe you have to just write a 20 to 30 lines of code, and you have to know some color parameters and how to center the tag, and tags will be given, but that won't be even functional for. But even in Flutter, we have just written in this 10 to 15 lines of code, and just you can read it directly. If you are even a new developer, you can just read it from here. We are building an app in which app bar will be there. In the app bar, the title will be a text object of welcome to Flutter. In the body, centered object child will be text hello world. You can just see in the app bar, welcome to Flutter is there. In the body object, centered object hello world is there. So this is the thing which I wanted to show up the session. So this was all about the first session, which was introduction to Flutter. What is Dart? What is history of Dart? What needs to be done? What already had been done? What are the future opportunities of Flutter? How Flutter is going and growing? What is the community support? Where you can find articles? How you can kickstart? So this was everything about the session today. So now I would really appreciate your silence in the session and keen listening. So now if you have any doubt, any silly doubt, simple doubt, how to think about Flutter's future, where to start, what to do, every single thing you can ask it now. So this is the Q&A session and open to all. Anyone having any of the doubts can now ping in the chat box. Yes, Omkar. Yes, the session, what I wanted to convey you is been done. But if you have any of the questions or any doubts regarding to how to take over to this thing or go ahead, you can ask it in the chat box. Yeah. So we have a question, big question from Omkar. As you know, Facebook has started the metaverse, and they are going to implement this, and React is also developed by them so far, is beginning to start development. How would one select Flutter and React, because React has some libraries that can perform AR augmented reality related actions, and we just have better for future. So the what I understand, the main question is between React and Flutter. That React is powered by Facebook, obviously, and Facebook is working on Metaverse. Obviously, Metaverse is Web3 blockchain. So how someone can decide between React and Flutter? And also to add a second question, that React has a library for AR, augmented reality, because Facebook is highly supporting Metaverse. So when, as a beginner, you are starting to think of a language to not a language or a framework to learn. So what is the first thing you should keep in mind is that if you just learn any of the framework, you know how to make the front end, how to make the back end, and the full stack application. Flutter and React are, I would say, same in broad perspective. In language perspective, they might be very different, but both work on asynchronous programming. Both have library support. I disagree to the point that React only has the AR capabilities or augmented reality capabilities. You can see in the Flutter pub.dev packages, there are multiple AR packages. There are packages which support Web3. There are packages which support blockchain and ultimately metaverse. So this is not the thing that if Facebook is developing React, so they have augmented reality libraries with them. Even Flutter has augmented reality libraries with them, which can be included in Flutter. And they can Flutter also have some libraries which can communicate with directly with the Web3 or the metaverse also. In future, if anything develops in a huge range, because if we talk about metaverse, this is a very niche concept, which has been bought by Zuckerberg to us. That yes, this will be developing and this is growing. But when this is growing, ultimately, what we can say, Flutter will be growing. So libraries of Flutter will be also increasing, because as of now, I haven't seen a React library also which is completely developed on augmented reality. So there are libraries in both React and Flutter, but you have to choose in your way. If you are familiar with JavaScript already, you can go with Flutter. Sorry, you can go with React. If you want to learn this new thing that it is supported by Google, then again comes Facebook versus Google. This is not Facebook versus Google. This is tech versus tech, and both tech are same. So this is a win-win situation for you. You can what we can say. You can host. You can learn anything, but better suggestion if you want to learn fast, because if you are going with React now, so you have to learn HTML, CSS, then JavaScript, and then React. And I think this is the complicated stuff for me. But you can learn Flutter in absolutely 3 to 7 days. In a week, you will be able to make a full stack application. This is for sure, because I have done this in 5 days only. In 5 days, I started with Flutter and completed Flutter and made an application. I hope, Omka, that solves your doubt. If anything is there, you can post it in chat box. Once again, we can discuss. Okay, so Shubhangi has a question. Can we host Flutter website on AWS? Yes. So hosting a website of Flutter as a hosting any app. I'll generalize and answer it for the broad audience. Hosting an app, hosting a website, or publishing a Play Store app, or publishing an iOS app. All the things are possible on all the platforms. On AWS, there is EC2 instance also we can buy. We can host a Flutter website on AWS also. There are many services, Netify services, which helps in publishing a website or hosting a website on AWS. Even if I go in bit more detail about how we can inculcate AWS with us. So even Flutter pub.dev has also some libraries which can directly communicate with AWS. For example, if you want to store your images on AWS, S3 bucket. For example, if you have a mobile application and do not want to store, for example, Instagram doesn't store images on their mobile application. So what they do is they have a bucket, or they have a container, or they have a storage in Amazon AWS bucket. So they directly, so we have in Flutter libraries which can directly communicate with AWS bucket. So you do not have to write any code. And yes, to finalize and answer your point, that we can just host the website on AWS. It's very simple process. Just you need to, and Flutter web is a very simple to build. You just need to have a command that Flutter build web, and you will get a complete folder, the complete package which you need to use. This is everything is done by the Flutter Dart compiler. Just you need to write the command Flutter build. You will get the complete folder. Just put it in the place where it is required. For example, AWS, and the website will be live in seconds. We have done this. We have done this on AWS. We have also done this on our local servers or on localhost. This is very simple process. Yep, I hope, Shubhangi, the doubt is clarified. Any other questions this might be a question that how much time it is required, or any silly questions is also okay, because any naive question is also okay, because this is a very new thing for you. I know that development phase has just started for you all. So any question is okay. If anyone has any doubts, open for all.
Till the time next question comes up, I'm dropping the feedback form link so that you all can tell us what went right, what went wrong. So we'll work on it.
Yep.
There you are.
Yep. So you can see the feedback form link in the chat box.
Also, feel free to drop your question and answers, or you can connect with Sahil
Yep.
or
I'll
join
share
the
my.
Discord.
Even in Discord, we are active to solve your doubts, or I'll also share my personal LinkedIn and Twitter accounts. You can drop me a message here. But if you have any message now or any question now, just let us know in the chat box. We are very happy to help here. Okay, so I have okay. Aditya has a question. Apart from the series of sessions, which are the best sources to learn Flutter? So I would say we should not even consider this series of session for in the best resources, because on YouTube there are multiple free persons, or what we can say free resources for Flutter development. If you just go on YouTube and write Flutter, there will be a series of sessions for many 100 to 150 developers who have already made a playlist of Flutter, in which just you can go and search for it. First thing is YouTube. Second thing is you can, by reading the articles, you can what you can say learn Flutter. But the third thing, which is the most important part of the best resource for Flutter, is the Flutter documentation. Flutter documentation, if you go, I would say this is the till now the best documentation by any technological framework which has been done till now. If you go on Flutter documentation, they have GIFs for you explaining. They have direct compilers to write your code and you can understand. They have in basic English explained. They have explained in native English. There are language support. There is everything. And you know what? When if you want to learn anything about any of the package on pub.dev, also for pub.dev, also if you are using any library, for example, if you're using HTTP, you can just go on pub.dev and there will be a documentation for that, because without documentation we are not allowed to post anything. And Flutter is already completely working on documentation also. There are three things we can the best resources, what we can say. First is YouTube. That this is the super best that you can just hear to other developers telling you about how to start your journey or how to kickstart your code or the live sessions. The second thing is the documentation, which the platforms like Medium and on Google you can search about documentations. And the third thing is the what this is also a very important and a good source, that this is called as Flutter documentation. Just you can go on Google and flutter.io you can write, and there will be multiple things which you can understand and learn. I hope Aditya that will that solves your doubt. Yeah, thank you. Any other questions? Please feel free to ask. All right, then please fill the feedback form also. If any other questions are not there, we might be good to end the session, Rohit, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yep. So all of you, thanks for just joining the session. I hope this helped you. And in future also, if you have any doubts, you can just ping us on Discord or on personal. So Discord link has also be posted on the group on the chat box. And next, in this coming week or this coming month, we are going to have multiple sessions on Flutter, in which we are going to just go into deep of Flutter. This was just an introduction to Flutter. Now you will be learning how to make your Flutter applications, make your own Flutter applications. Will be going through the Flutter basics, the how to build a basic application, how to use Dart, asynchronous programming, what is asynchronous programming, and everything, every single thing which you require for Flutter, we are going to learn in the next what we can say in this month, March. So thanks once again for everyone for joining. Just please remember to fill the feedback form before leaving. This would help us to even improve or to appreciate all of us that yep, we have done something, or if there are some points to improve. So, yep, so that's on all from my side. Thank you.
All right. So thank you, everyone. I'm ending the sessions right now. Uh, is that fine, everyone?
Yep, Rohit. Yep.
Oh, yep, that's good.
Okay. So thank you, everyone. Goodbye. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye bye.